Okay, welcome. Our first interview of the day with Councilmember Ana Maria Jara. Welcome, Ana. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So, do you want to just start by sort of introducing yourself or talking about your accomplishments on the council and your plan for your next
Sure.
term?
So, um, thank you for this opportunity. I just want to say that I am an immigrant from Guatemala. I am a single parent. I am lucky enough to live in a rent control apartment for the past 36 years. I have not only advocated, but I am an activist for affordable housing, workers' rights, civic engagement, equity, workforce development, youth prevention and intervention programs. I am endorsed by Assembly Member Richard Bloom, Senator Maria Elena Durazo, Senator Ben Allen, Reverend Jim Kahn, most of our local elected officials, those that can provide an endorsement, as well as by some appointed commissioners like Sean Launders and Bill Parent. I'm also endorsed by Unite Here Local 11, by AFSCME, District Council 36, which is the Political and Legislative Action Committee. And they've done an early recommendation, and their executive board meets at the end of the month. So I am waiting for that to be finalized. I am also endorsed by COPE. Um, but one of the endorsements that I am most proud of is by Trini Garcia, who is the vicepresidente de la Federación de la Comunidad Oaxaqueña. My work dates back to 1990 when my daughters informed me of the hotel workers' plight. I quickly got involved with my church and soon thereafter became an executive board member of SMART. I have been successful in bringing together dignitaries, elected officials, clergy, members of the community, police department, and city staff to work on what is needed for our residents. Since I was appointed in January of 2019, I have been directing staff to directly from the dais to look for ways to improve transparency that will bring about equity, language justice, which are only a few of my core values and that now have become part of the values for the framework in which the city is doing their work. Um, I seek your endorsement and I look forward to a better democracy on November 3rd.
Thanks, Ana. So, really quick, I want to ask you a couple of questions that I think you left blank on the questionnaire.
Okay.
One question was pertaining to Metro Rail expansion in Santa Monica and whether there are any areas that you'd like to see more metro lines built. And then the second question was your assessment of the micromobility program, the electric scooters.
So I was actually a part of ensuring that we had some securities for our neighborhood prior to Metro coming to Santa Monica and prior to us completing that phase of the Metro. I think that it is important that we have the community come together so that way they can tell us what is needed and what would be better for them. I believe that we connecting LA to Santa Monica is very important to reduce some of the traffic that we have and that we face here in Santa Monica, as well as to provide other modes of transportation for our community members that do not have access to their own cars or anything else. I think that I can't wait until we are able to connect to LAX. I believe that that is really important. I think that we have a lot of people that come here to Santa Monica and that could benefit from having that connection to Santa Monica to help us also, again, with traffic modifications. I believe that our council is waiting on one of the recommendations from city staff to look at our mobility for um, I'm sorry, for our I'm going blank. I'm sorry. For our best fit to mobilities, okay? I think that a lot of people have taken advantage of using the scooters. I think that we are down to maybe choosing only two or three of the ones that are offered. So I will wait until we have that complete evaluation, so that way I can form an opinion on to who it is that we're going to decide to continue to be here. I am saddened by the fact that we lost Hulu as one of our modes of transportation, but it is unfortunate that we have to make some tough decisions, and there are a lot of people that I know that utilize this also a form of mobility, but um, there are some tough decisions that we have to make, and this is definitely one that I think that I'm really saddened that we have to make.
Great, thanks. Does anyone else want to field a question? Amy, yeah, I see your hand.
I mentioned this to you, John, just to see if it would fit within here. But Anna, I know you are both a longstanding member of the community. You also work at Santa Monica College. And just for disclosure, I had worked with you on the Commission for the Status of Women. I was wondering, do you feel the city can improve its cradle to career goals?
Yes, I believe that we can. I think that we need to have as many collaborations as we possibly can, especially given now the downfalls of our budget with, with COVID-19. However, facing those inequities that have come about because of COVID-19 makes me feel that we need to be more intentional on being able to provide those services. So one of the things that I am looking forward to as soon as we start getting some funding back is definitely looking at some of the programs that we can set up again and bringing back, so that we can assist the community. It's really important for you to know that I worked very effectively with the police department 20 years ago. We were having a lot of loss of our youth over at our park, and there was a police station there, okay, substation, and we were very effective in communicating with them and bringing about community policing, so that we can engage our community, our parents, and so that we wouldn't lose any more lives like we were losing back then. And that also created a space for us to prevent or stop the pipeline of education to incarceration. So I am very proud that I was able to be a part of that program, where we established now in within our city, that we established prior to me being on council, that we established a position that is able to directly affect that community, and that we can mitigate those issues with our community. So yes, definitely look forward to continue to work with our um, cradle to career, because it is important for us to educate from prior to after. And part of the cradle to career work came about precisely because of the loss of our youth in our community.
Anyone? Ed, yeah, Ed.
Good morning, Anna.
Good morning.
Like all individuals on the council, your voice has been helpful, and I've always been interested to hear your voice. In the last couple council meetings, we've been dealing with some big development projects, and over the past 8 years, more than the last 8 years, we've been dealing with one in particular, 4th in Arizona. My question is just in general. Why, considering the current proposal for that site, why do we need that? As opposed to any alternative?
So, as you are well aware of, our city faces having to come up with some RENA numbers. And it is definitely at the top of our goals as city council members to make sure that we fulfill those RENA numbers. The plaza development for me was really important because there was something that was in there that was really, really important and right for us to have. They worked together with our unions to be able to come up with protections for our workforce, protections for our union workers. And that is going to create additional employment opportunities, not only for others, but especially for locals, residents that we have, as city council had said, have priority in order for them to receive some of these employments. And in order for us to assist with the recovery that COVID-19 has dealt us with, we need to make sure that we come up with other developments such as that. All of the developers have to be smart. I think that the plaza was very smart in talking to our local 11 and ensuring that they had their support, so that it made it easier for me to be able to vote on the continuance of that project. I think that there are some office spaces in the plan that I have already requested that they think about providing those as low and affordable units, so that way some of our community members who are so skilled and ready to be self-sufficient within our city, to open up their own business, to be entrepreneurs, to set up whatever it is that they need to do in order for them to stay self-sufficient. People ask for assistance, but they don't want to be a burden for the city. So if we can provide that assistance, which we have already at Virginia Avenue Park, provided some workshops for them to learn how to do and establish their own business, it's the perfect way to do. And if we can come up with some of these developers that, of course, now being that we don't have the space for these offices that were going to be empty or vacate for other things, I think it's the best item for us to have to provide for them. People were very, very vocal, and I definitely heard all of them loud and clear at the Pico Wellbeing process.
Peter, you got your hand up.
Yes, good morning, Maria. Or I'm sorry, Anna.
Good morning, Peter.
I'm curious as to a number of the candidates, including you, have mentioned community-based policing. And I'm wondering, what does the term community-based policing mean to you?
You know, 20 years ago, as I specified before, we were losing so many of our youth here in the community, in our park. As a leader, we decided to take on the safety, or creating a safety net for our youth. So community policing means to me working together with the police department for us to better that safety net. It is not enough for us to have police departments. All of us want to be safe. All of us want the police department to protect us, but especially our youth. Our youth need to have that safety net. They need to know that they can trust our police department because they are there to protect them as well. And that is what community policing means to me, that we are working together. And as a matter of fact, the RAND Corporation chose Santa Monica as one of their pilot programs to be able to showcase what community policing is and what it stands for, that we should not have any violence, that we need to prevent that we need to prevent that pipeline that has been created from education to incarceration. That is what community policing means to me, that we save lives and that we can continue to have them not only alive, but also to create pipelines for different means for them to becoming the members of society that as adults we expect for them to become, and that we know that they are ready to be.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
John, you're muted.
Yeah, go ahead, Derek. Sorry.
Thank you. So
after the protest that occurred, I think, was it May 31st? I'm not sure the exact date. An investigation was requested to be done by city council. That investigation was largely done in-house and I believe complete. Would you support city council funding and calling for an investigation by an independent entity?
Derek, we already have done that, and I already voted for that. We created already. We requested that an independent study be done already, and can't remember who the agency is that the city recommended for us to use. I insisted that we have an independent study by an outside organization, not someone by here from Santa Monica, not someone by here from the state, but somebody from the outside so that we can be more transparent. Now, they were not able to do that. However, we have started that investigation already. We are waiting for them to come back with those recommendations and their findings that, after their evaluation. I think that not only that is important, but also the fact that we have created the Black agenda, that we have created, the committee for them, that I led that specific agenda movement because we need to listen to our Black community, just like I listened to our community back when our youth were being killed. And in order for us to form the police community, true community policing process, we need to be able to listen to our Black community's needs and recommendations. So I'm waiting for them to come up with whatever it is that we need so that way we can move forward with that. I'm also waiting for the safety task force that was created by our city staff as well for their recommendations to find out what it is that we need to move. And I can tell you the reason why I can't wait is because I know that any recommendations that they can move forward can be done. They can be accomplished because I am a product of that accomplishment. We've done it before and we can do it again.
So if may I follow up real quick? So there's
Absolutely.
going to be a 13th item, I believe, this Tuesday. Are you familiar with it on this subject?
Yes, I am.
Do you have any thoughts on it? I'm not going to ask you how you're going to vote, but do you have any thoughts on it? Or I might, but do you have any thoughts on it?
So can you tell me again what that 13 item is? I'm sorry.
I don't have the exact language. Does anybody have the exact language of it? Apparently not.
Okay. If it has to do with
The language, if you'll go to another question, I'll have it for you in a minute.
Okay, great. Well, let me ask you
Okay.
a question on, and then we're going to wrap up after we hear this last thing from Patricia. But I wanted to ask you about your time on the executive board of our club, which is before I was involved in the club, which was 2002 to 2006, according to your questionnaire. So I was just wondering, since we're all Democratic activists here and always trying to do stuff with the club, like what was your experience like during those 5 years on the club, and what were some of the highlights of your accomplishments there?
So I was the membership. I think I was in charge of membership, I believe, and so it created a space for me to learn more about our democracy here in the States. It assisted me in bringing forth other members that have no voice. And this is something that's very important. And here's a message that I'm going to give to you from our community. There's a lot of people that want to be involved in civic engagement. Unfortunately, a lot of them cannot be involved because the membership for some of our democratic clubs depend on their party's association when they register to vote. There's a lot of people that do not need to be registered to vote in order for them to engage in what civic and political and what the end will meet, okay? And they can't. So part of the process, I believe, is a little narrowed for some of our community members. They don't need to vote. I thank SMER for being able to provide. They're the only organization in Santa Monica that provides that space for a lot of our community members and residents that are unable to register to vote. And that is the only civic engagement that they have, even though it lacks some additional work. It's still the only organization that provides that engagement for them. So that is one of the things that I have learned. It is hard for me to continue to work on equity when we do have some inequities in some of our processes.
Thank you. And then Patricia, did you have that information?
Yes. So the 13 item says, requests of Mayor Pro Tem O'Day, Council Members McCowan and Himmelrich that staff promptly retain an outside expert to compile the after-action report regarding Santa Monica Police Department activity relating to the offense before, after, and on May 31st, and that staff provide that expert ongoing access to all information relating to these events compiled by date, and the Santa Monica Police Department, as well as any additional information gathered by the police department or from other sources. And that is replacing the one that you voted on the last time, because the city manager pulled back on it. So this is the replacement for that.
Well, sure, you may not ask me how I'm going to vote.
No.
Of course, I cannot tell you how it is that I'm going to vote, but I can tell you that I have definitely been an advocate, and I have been definitely voicing the fact that we need to bring transparency to our processes. And that definitely speaks to the transparency of our process. I have been telling them that we need to let the community know what it is that we're doing, how it is that we're doing it, and how it's going to affect them. And this is part of that process.
And you've been doing it for almost all of the 36 years you've been here. I know that. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Patricia. Thank you.
All right, Patricia, thank you.
Okay, so I think we're gonna wrap it up there because we have to get to our next interviewee. But thanks so much, Anna. I appreciate you coming by.
Oh, thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate you providing this opportunity for me, and thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.